So, step 3, we've covered off requesting the writing guidelines and getting an understanding for that. We've worked out what sort of magazine it is and how the tonality and things. So let's actually write for the magazines. How do we actually write that? How do we actually get the article put together? Well, there's a couple of different ways. It's whether you're writing for magazines or writing for syndication. Two very different approaches, but they sound very similar. Because obviously you can write articles specific for offline media publications. You can get the guidelines, you can come up with a topic, and you can submit it. And there's absolutely no reason why that is not an effective approach. Unique content is a plus. But the problem is, it takes effort. If you haven't written before, you're not a regular writer, you know how much it can actually how hard it can be to write a specific article, and quite often you put undue pressure on yourself to write something specific for a magazine because you think it's a real world, serious, credible publication, that it's got to be a much better quality article, and you sort of put a lot of pressure on yourself. And look, there's no reason why you can't do that, but my suggestion is you've written stuff before. You're currently writing things for your blog, for your reading articles, that you know is resonating with the audience and the editor. Why go and write something new that you don't know if it's going to actually be effective, if it's going to be engaging to the audience? But remember, we're talking about leverage throughout this entire program of going analog. So why don't leverage your article writing as well? So what I refer to as writing for syndication. Because you can test the article first before you submit it to the publication for, to get printed. And what I mean by testing is, if you put that article up online first, before you submit it to the offline media, there are 3 huge advantages for you. First is the article resonates with a niche, because the blog readers, the e-zine article readers, all that sort of stuff, you know how engaging that article is compared to the other article you submitted last week on your blog or e-zine articles. You can work out which of the articles you're writing gets the most engagement. Because the second point is the comments and the feedback will help you refine the article for the offline magazines and trade journals. Because again, there's not much interaction with magazine readers and subscribers when you submit an article, but online you do. You have a lot of interaction. So you can have that article on your blog and get comments and get feedback of what they liked about the article, what they didn't like about the article. You'll often get additional insights and thoughts and juxtaposition opinions on things from your blog readers. And you can incorporate those comments and feed it back into the original article and have that super article submitted to the trade magazines and things like that. And the third point is that the statistics that you'll actually get from having that article online will help you sell the article to the media. Because if you can show that this article's had 3,000 views, it's had this much feedback on Facebook, it's had these 300 comments or 20 comments or even 5 comments, you can show and prove engagement. How many retweets have you had? Has it been featured and shared on Facebook by 500 people? Those stats help you prove the engagement level of the article, that it really is hitting home with a particular niche audience, which is obviously what the journalist wants and the editors want, is an article that's going to resonate and engage. So if you can show those by having online stats, they are going to absolutely be all over you like a rash to get that in their magazine. So having said that, if you're going to write for syndication, why not put 2 and 2 together? Why not take the writing guidelines that the magazines you're trying to get focused in and published in, take those guidelines and make them your guidelines for when you write your own blog posts. It'll reduce the need to rewrite. E-zine blogs, e-zines and blogs and things like that don't generally have guidelines. But why not create some? Particularly if you're outsourcing all of this. If you are using an outsourced writer to write articles for you, generally you'll be saying, I just want a 500-word article on this topic. So the guideline you give is simply the length and the topic. Go a bit deeper, be a bit more professional, go pro, and actually use those writing guidelines for the magazines for your own online marketing material, because that way you don't have to rewrite it. You can write it once and have it syndicated. It'll also give your online writing a much more professional feel, which is fantastic. So that's pretty much the writing the article side of things. I don't want to go into the depth of how to actually structure a sentence and things like that, because I'm clearly not an English teacher. I'm a son of a math teacher. I'm not bad with numbers, but I'm not great with English. If you've received emails from me or read my blog, you know the typos that I do. So what I often do in particular niches, and what you can do too, is outsource some of this article writing. So you can take all these rules and the steps we covered in this particular session and give it to your outsourcer.